Before we get into this video, I just want to let you guys know that I'm currently holding a fan art contest with a prize pool of $100, as well as a $50 War Thunder Premium Pack giveaway. You can check out all the information on that, as well as the sale on my merch store currently going on by clicking the video that will pop up on your screen right now, all about my 50k celebration. Now enjoy the fake tanks. You may remember last time we covered the top 10 cursed tanks in movies. In this video, we'll be covering some of the machines I felt deserved their own dedicated video specifically on fake movie tanks. This time, I'd also like to explain the general requirements I use to see whether or not a tank fit on this list, since last time there seemed to be a little bit of confusion. Firstly, it needs to be fictional. It can be built using real parts of a real tank, but I won't be including tanks dressed up to look like another tank that already exists, like in the last video. Secondly, it must at least somewhat resemble our current definition of a tank. This means that it should have some sort of turret and tracks and should at least be within reason of something that could theoretically exist. My list will start with the most realistic and potentially viable tanks, and as we climb, the designs will get more and more absurd. But without further ado, let's get started. First off, at number 10, we have the most normal of the tanks on this list, the tank from Fast and Furious 6. This tank, nicknamed the Beast, was based off the British Chieftain, and was redesigned to be perfectly suited for demolishing cars, a task that it does quite well in the film. You can actually experience its destruction yourself with the tank available thanks to its current owner's Tanks-A-Lot in the UK. For number 9, I chose the tanks featured in the Netflix original film Spectral. In this sci-fi movie, there are two tanks primarily used in one scene against the strange ghost-like enemies of the film. These tanks are based off Russian T-55s modified with some weird spotlights, reminiscent of the Uhu German infrared vehicles I mentioned in my World War II night vision video. You can check that out here. Other than that, the vehicles aren't too different from the original tanks, but I still felt they deserve being featured on the list. Next at number 8, we return to another widely known series, the Transformer films. The character in question is the Decepticon known as Brawl, although mistakenly called Devastator in the 2007 Transformers movie. Brawl is an extremely large prop and not a real tank, but the design is clearly based on the Abrams tank and was originally built for the movie XXX2 State of the Union. The hull is a modified truck chassis using a Freightliner diesel engine and rubber band tracks. It also features a replica of the Venus Flytrap MCBS minesweeping device and a pair of quad missile launch tubes on the secondary turret. At number 7, we reach probably the most famous fake tank, this being the Indiana Jones tank from The Last Crusade. Closely resembling a British Mark 8 tank, this prop was built on an old excavator chassis after it was decided to custom build a tank for the film rather than the original plan of renting a French World War I tank. Now at number 6 on my list, we start to get into some very strange designs. Taking up this spot is the tank from the movie Tank Girl. This monstrosity built on a Stuart really is just a thing of horror. Featuring a fake gun barrel, bizarre missile launcher straight out of a Looney Tunes cartoon, and enough tank bling to make Los Santos Customs jealous. Although to its credit, this movie is based off a comic series, so the strange appearance does make sense. And I gotta say, I can definitely see myself setting up an area to chill with the boys on the back of a tank after some sort of apocalypse. Sign me up. At number 5, we have the Moon Tank, which is actually the oldest one on this list, and is from Radar Men from the Moon. Although by modern standards, this could be considered more of a series than a movie, with it originally being shown in 12 parts, each part being around 13 minutes long when it was released in 1952. It was actually considered a movie serial. Now, I didn't know what this meant at first, so I did some research, and basically what they would do is they would show in the same theater of advancing weekly through the parts. They would show each part usually in order. But regardless of how it was viewed, it tells the story of a character named Commander Cody who used a bizarre-looking moon tank that looks almost like an extremely cursed World War I tank. From what I can tell, there is some sort of tracked vehicle under the fake hull, but your guess is as good as mine as to what it is. Number 4 on the list is the Hiss tank from G.I. Joe Retaliation. This tank was custom built and designed for the movie by How and How Technologies based on their Ripsaw vehicles. The full specs and design process of this is actually available on their website, and for sake of time, I'll leave that linked below for those who are interested. But for the rest, let's move on to the next machine. Next on the list at number 3 is another very familiar machine, the snail tank from Star Wars Episode 3. Now there's a lot of Star Wars tanks I could have included on this list, but like I said at the beginning of the video, I tried to pick stuff that somewhat resembles tanks that could exist, and this one having tracks made it the most viable candidate. Featured prominently in the Battle of Kashyyyk, this tank is designed with one main track and 2 outriggers for balance, and I also presume for steering. Personally, I think the snail tank design is potentially quite similar to what we could see in the future as drone weapons become more and more commonplace, but the actual battle effectiveness of a triangle with guns is debatable. At number 2, I've chosen the Hydra tank from Captain America: The First Avenger. Not much to say about this one since it's only on screen for a few moments, but the historically minded part of me wonders if this design was based off or inspired in some part by the P-1000 Rat or P-1500 German Land Cruiser designs. And finally, at number 1, and the reason I basically made this entire list, I present you the tank from the movie Who Finds a Treasure Finds a Friend. This tank was custom built for the film and is not meant to specifically represent any tank, although it does have a rising sun marking on the side. And I have to say, seeing this thing on the move never ceases to make me laugh. Just look at it go. Well anyways, that's my list. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did and want to see more movie tanks, check out my video on the top 10 cursed movie tanks I made. And if you want to see more tank related content, be sure to hit subscribe, and I hope to see you in my next video.